From atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West, you are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
Happy to have you along, my fellow Americans. Sam Bushman live on your radio. Hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use continues now. This is the broadcast for June 3rd in the year of our Lord 2025, hour 202, promoting God, family, country, protecting life, liberty, and property. That's who we are. And that's what we do to the best of our ability, ladies and gentlemen, on your radio. There's so much going on, so little time to discuss it. I'll tell you that right now. Wow. We reject revolution, folks. We stand for peaceful restoration the best we can. And it's a tough row to hoe, to say the least. I've been out of town for a while. Thanks so much for your patience. But I got an email. Well, let me start over. Last hour, I talked about the wolves, the sheep, and the sheepdogs. The sheep are the innocent individuals that go about their lives and don't really realize what's going on. You got the wolves that are absolutely criminals and destroying liberty, destroying our country, doing everything they can. I put the media in the wolves category, the mainstream press, wolves category for sure. And then I look at the sheepdogs as those who are kind of in the middle, doing their very best to protect the sheep from the wolves, feeling like, hey, they got to protect society. It's their duty, it's their obligation. Many feel called by God to do so. Well, anyway, it's usually used in military and law enforcement and that kind of stuff. But I use it in a talk show host scenario as well. You know, a lot of times there's a lot of truth, but a little bit of error leading people astray. Or most of the time what I see talk show hosts do is they whip you up into a frenzy of the problem, but they never bring you all the way across the bridge to the solution. Sadly, those people are wolves too. Even if they don't realize they're wolves, they prey on society. They're not allowed to bring the real solutions to the table. Their networks or their funders or their whatever you want to call it won't let them. That's a problem. But at the end of the day, that's what you see. Anyway, there are some people that are really making a difference. And there's been a big chasm, as far as I can see, between the secular radio, TV, whatever worlds, and the Christian radio and TV worlds. It's been that way for a long time. And I believe that separation has been really created by your government. The wolves in your government have created this. I, as a sheepdog, have an obligation to highlight this and bring it to your attention and be a truth teller to try to protect you, try to help you see what we got to do to solve it. Let me explain how the government does this, just so you understand it first, and then we'll drill into the details all the way to the solutions, right? That's what we do on this broadcast. We're truth tellers, and we look for solutions. This is solutions-oriented radio. It's been that way for 30 years. Right now, the way the government's done this is they've created a term called commercial radio. That's where you can run advertisements and make money, and, that's the commercial world. And they want you to kind of believe that, oh, man, those guys are all on the take. They're in the commercial world. They're big business. They're pro-capitalism. They're kind of on the take. And to some degree, there's some truth in that. I mean, go read Cleon Skousen's The Naked Capitalist if you don't believe me. If you take capitalism too far and put money above morality, then you got a problem and it becomes The Naked Capitalist, and that's a danger, a disaster. But they want you to believe that everybody that is in the commercial world is that way to some degree. They don't really say that. They even will, kind of praise capitalism. But that's the inference of the whole arena. Okay? Commercial radio, commercial TV, whatever. Then you've got what's called the non-com, is what they call it. It stands for non-commercial. And they're the nonprofit people. They're not making any money. They're out for your good, for the kindness. Oh, man, they're just doing they're nonprofit. I mean, don't you know? Well, nonprofit 9 times out of 10 is a lie. It's just a segment of the law you can go into the radar under with. Right? You set up a nonprofit. Hey, we're not on the take. We're nonprofit. But you find out most of those nonprofits, they want you to believe they're for this or that or whatever cause. And in the end of the day, you find out that most of them, very little money makes it to that bottom line of the nonprofit's mission or purpose. Most of the money gets pulled off the top along the way by a bunch of people. And I was watching a movie series about some hockey players, and it was like that. It was like, hey, some of these hockey players become rock stars, and there's a gazillion people along the way for this hockey rock star, and they take a bunch of the money, and they get rich, but they pitch it like, oh, we just want to coach them, we just want to help them, we just want to be kind, and we're here because we want to, see them fulfill their dreams. And it turns out to be a big old money scam. Okay, the same thing's true in politics. That's how a congressman or a senator works 9 times out of 10. The second they get there, they're on the take. And I heard Steve King speak, an incredible speech, former Congressman Steve King, and he's written a book about this, and he's highlighted this, and he's just like, hey, him and Steve Stockman, former congressman, they highlight this. It's like the second they get there, 9 out of 10 are on the take, man. They're just ready to go ahead and sell out the second they get there. And then there's all these people along the way that are like, oh, man, I'm helping this honorable congressman, a woman, or whatever. And they're on the take, too, all along the way. They hire fixers to protect their names in the public sphere. It goes on and on. It makes you sick, people. It's just absolutely sickening. Anyway, back to my analogy. The mainstream government has done this. They've divided these commercial versus the non-coms. The non-coms, the non-profits. Well, in radio, then, you've got like National Public Radio, NPR. You got PBS, Public Broadcasting, or whatever. You've got, and all these groups are acting like, we're just here to let people know the truth, and we're not in it for the take. We're not those capitalists over there. And in fact, we can't even run normal advertisements. And so what they do, in contrast to commercial radio, is they pitch it like they're just letting you know about something. So let me give you the difference. In commercial radio, it's like this. Hey, you should go to this place and buy this product or buy this service. By all means, get it done. And that way, it's blatant capitalism. You're just, hey, we sell products and services, and we advertise them and promote them. And sometimes a talk show host will do the promo, making it even more powerful because it's tied to a personality. If Sam Bushman says that this is vital or this is whatever, then, it must be true because it's Sam Bushman. See, and they play on that capitalist side. The non-com people, the non-commercial people, the quote, not for profit people have rules and guidelines. This is where the government comes in, right? To where you're not allowed to just blatantly pitch products like that. You're more like, this is brought to you by the Goofball Foundation. The Goofball Foundation is known for helping people learn how to be goofballs in society. Goofballfoundation.org. And then they want you to, so they're pitching it, but it's a soft pitch. And believe it or not, a lot of society likes a soft pitch better than a hard pitch because they're like, hey, no one's forcing anything on me. They're just letting me know about the Goofball Foundation. See? Who wouldn't want to know about the Goofball Foundation? They're doing great things, letting everybody know that goofballs are phenomenal. Goofballs are incredible. You should be a goofball too. So go to goofball.org and learn about goofball. But really the pitch is the same, which is we're getting paid to have a service or a product, and we're pushing it. We're just pushing it differently. Instead of a hard pedal capitalist style, it's a soft pedal. We're just letting you know about this. Did you know that global warming was a real issue? To learn about global warming and to learn about the stats that make global warming truthful and a reality, go to globalwarming.goofball.gov or goofball.org or goofball.us or .biz or whatever, or .foundation, whatever, right? And they peddle this. I'm going to call it porn because that's what it turns out to be. It's like game playing. It's not honest. It's not full of integrity. And so they managed to divide the Christians from the secular this way, keeping the Christians pretty much out of the secular space. You don't belong in the public square, Christians. You go have your non-coms. You go have your over here. And they've done this on purpose, and so all these laws relate to this. And that's why Trump is exposing this. He's absolutely spot on right. Where do I come in? Well, I'm a truth teller, and I've been telling you about this for years. But now that Donald Trump highlights it and gives it, quote, national viral coverage, then I can fill in the gaps. I can connect the dots for everybody because I've been in this stuff for 30 years. And I've had a lot of non-commercial radio stations be like, Sam, we like your show. We love your show, but man, we can't air it because you have the all-dreaded commercials in there. You have that hardcore capital. We can't do that. No, we're non-coms. We're non-commercial. We can't run your ads, Sam. And they're right by law. I'm not debating that. But we need to change that law because the law has divided and segregated, these Christians from society. It's a tragedy. And there's only one guy that I know that bridges this gap quite well. He's a liberal even. I know that's crazy, but, he's a liberal. His name is Tom Hartman, Thom. It's a weird spelling of his first name, but that's how it is. Tom Hartman. And he's actually a good guy. I know he's a liberal. I know we don't agree on a lot of things. I get all that. But he has managed to run his radio shows on the commercial stations because he runs commercials. But he manages to fill in the time with non-commercials, and he's got this split feed that they've engineered. And so he sends music or, public service announcements or non-com, I don't know what you call them, non-com advertisements. They don't want to say advertisements because, no, you can't. So there's different words. Anyway, they've done that. Let me give you another example of this. Let me tell you who's coming out with some great stuff that we got to work on. I got a lot to cover on this. This is great stuff. Not because I'm bringing it up, because it's really allowed me, now that Donald Trump's given this some incredible coverage, to really fill in the gap, to connect the dots. I'm a truth teller. I'm a sheepdog. Continuing in seconds. Thanks for listening.
Do you know what is great about America? Ask an Immigrant. Ask an Immigrant is a new podcast dedicated to helping Americans, especially our youth, value, appreciate, and be grateful for the freedoms we have here in America. Join host Lydia Wallace-Nuttall as she interviews immigrants from around the world to discover their inspiring personal stories about why they came to America. To learn more about why America is the most prosperous, greatest country in the world, download the Loving Liberty app or go to lovingliberty.net.
In the medical field, IT security is crucial. Our highly skilled consultants are HIPAA certified and have 20-plus years of experience servicing medical clinics, billing, and supply companies. We offer comprehensive endpoint protection, guarding your computers and servers against all stages of threats. And with our 24/7 monitoring services, you'll never worry about extensive downtime again. Ready to level up your IT support? Call 801-706-6980 today and discover how great IT services can be with managed IT services.
If Planned Parenthood were what they publicly declare themselves to be, they would welcome transparency. We all know why they hide, because we know what they hide. We can confirm federal judges who follow the Constitution rather than reverse engineer their preferred policy outcomes. The truth about abortion is spreading because of advances in medical imaging, because of brave journalists, tireless activists, compassionate doctors, nurses, and other healthcare professionals. The rising generation of young Americans is the most pro-life in decades because they know too. And one day soon, we will reaffirm our nation's principles in their dignified fullness and avow once again that all men are created equal. All are entitled to life.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. Sam Bushman on your radio. So I'm saying they've divided the Christians, and they've kind of separated them out, and by law and by regulation and all this kind of stuff, they've kind of made the Christians not really be able to participate in the public arena, in the public square. Unless you're a Christian and you go to Christian sources, then you can't really hear them, right? And so it's interesting. I look at the American Family Association, for example. They're doing a phenomenal job. But unless you're a Christian, you don't know much about their work. They have AFA Radio, American Family Association Radio, and news. And, I mean, they do a great job. They have press releases. They have websites. They have, Salem Radio News is a great group that has learned this fact. And now they have a lot of their Christian content and their commercial content side by side. They're brilliant. And they're bringing out the truth. And they're preventing this gap or this divide from happening. They're doing a phenomenal job at it, and I follow their lead in many ways. But I've watched this for years. So I gave you one realm of radio and TV. Tom Hartman, a liberal, has managed to bridge this gap. Salem Radio Network is one of the leaders to bridge this gap. It's incredible. They're doing great work, and they ought to be commended. I mean, you've literally got Christian talk show hosts alongside commercial talk show hosts. And they have to have separate news. They have to obey the laws. So you've got newscast for the commercial people. It has a commercial in it. That's the one I run. Then they've got, you'll listen to the bottom of the hour. You'll hear a commercial in my news. But what they have is a news without the commercial for the non-coms, right? Why should the government decide that there's commercial and non-commercial radio stations? Very interesting, right? That's got to stop. Because what it really amounts to is trying to jettison the Christians from the public square. It's amazing how we've allowed this to occur, allowed this to happen. We've fallen for the lie. Well, anyway, there's another example of this in society that I'll point to really be clear on this. Take your health insurance. What is health insurance? Well, Sam, health insurance are these companies that try to mitigate your financial obligation when you have health problems. They negotiate for better prices for you. They make sure that if there's a catastrophic event in your life, then they can take care of that for you. I mean, it's really a good thing, this health insurance thing. I agree. I get it. No one wants a catastrophic event that totally destroys your financial well-being. I get it, and I see the need and the value of insurance. Okay? Now, to some degree, I get that insurance is a scam. People are frustrated with it. I mean, there's some truth on that side of the discussion, too, but I don't want to go down that road. And I've been former insurance licensed, so I do know what I'm discussing. I'm not insurance licensed now, to be clear. However, I have been, and I do understand a lot of it. I think there's a lot of value in it. And I think that health insurance makes sense. Because in some places, if you can't get the money to take care of a serious health problem, I mean, who wants to be unhealthy and struggling with their health, plus try to support their family, plus try to pay all the big medical bills? I mean, I get it. When it's catastrophic, it's really valuable and a blessing and a half. But understand that the Christians felt like health insurance was a scam. And big, rich families know that health insurance oftentimes is a scam. It's not a scam because of the concept of taking care of one when it's catastrophic in nature to protect them. That's not the scam. The scam is on how much money they make. The scam is on how the rules and the guidelines from the government manipulate this to where there's just too much money going out, right? I mean, the average health insurance plan, I don't have an average number. I'm just going to guess at it right this minute. But anyway, it's like $700 to $1,100 a family for health insurance. I mean, it rivals people's mortgages and stuff. It's crazy. And then if you have an event, you got to pay on top of that. You got to pay your deductibles, and you got to this, and you got to that. And government's wormed its way into that, a.k.a. Obamacare and everything else, making matters even worse. But the point that I want to highlight here in relation to they've absolutely done their very best to kick Christians out of the public square, here's what happens. So Christians said, man, health insurance is a problem. Families can't afford it. We got to do something about it. We're Christians. We're supposed to care for our neighbor and look after one another. Hey, what if we create our own health insurance plans? Oh, you guys are Christians. You can't do that. All right. So they've created a term called health share, not health care. See, you can't call it health care or health insurance. You got to say it's a health share plan. It's not insurance. Why do you got to do that? Because the rules, the guidelines are different. If you get or produce or provide health insurance, you have all kinds of rules. And it's capitalist in nature. Oh, but we can't have that. Christians and capitalists don't mix, you got to. And so what they've done is they've created these health share plans. Now, I'm not critical of the Christians for doing this. I think the Christians have done a tremendous thing, and I've used these Christian health share programs many times, and they're great. They're very good, but they're complex. They're complex because the government makes all the rules and all the regulations and all the stipulations and I can go on and on and on, right? But so they said health share, not health care. It's not insurance. And so all the regulations and all the words are different. So in health insurance, you have a deductible. What's a deductible? Well, you got to pay a certain amount before the health insurance kicks in. So if your deductible is $5,000, then hey, under $5,000 they don't pay. Or sometimes there's a little list of things they'll do under the $5,000. A quick example is if you have dental insurance, they'll let you clean your teeth, twice a year. They'll let you check for cavities and get an exam twice a year or whatever. There's a few things that aren't in the deductible, but then you got to meet your deductible first. And then based on the plan, okay. But all those words can't be used in the Christian health share world. No. You can't have a deductible. So they've created a term called your shareable amount. What is a shareable amount? Well, it's kind of like a deductible. But Sam, don't you dare say it's like a deductible. It's not really. Why do they say that? Because they have to. Regulatory-wise, they can get in trouble if they say, well, your shareable amount and deductible is the same thing, because it's not exactly the same thing. Right? Remember how I told you that in the radio business, you promote something blatantly, it's capitalism, and that's commercial. You promote something really soft, gentle, kind, and it's non-commercial, it's non-profit, by golly, we're just looking out for you. It's that kind of divide again. So it's not a deductible like a health plan, because it doesn't reward the company or protect the company or mitigate liability the same way. It's different how it works. So you pay your shareable amount. Well, your shareable amount goes into this big pot, and then people can, that shareable amount creates a basis by which everybody can share their health care costs. And the health care will be paid out by this organization. It's not really the same thing as a company. It's an and this organization then will take this shareable amount, create this big kitty, and then help pay for health share costs. They're really your health care costs, but you can't say health care. So it's cover your health share costs. That way, if something catastrophic hits you, you're just paying your, quote, shareable amount and a monthly fee or whatever. And then all that money gets piled into, and then they share. And the great thing about what the Christians do is, in addition to sharing this stuff, they have prayer roles or prayer groups that pray for people in their health. I think it's tremendous. I'm not downing that either. I think it's incredible, where they pray for people. So not only do they give their money to help one another, but they pray for one another. And I believe the prayers are just as powerful as the money, personally. I mean, I'm not in any way saying that, mocking the prayers. I'm just saying they provide this tremendous value of prayer on top of it. And I believe that has a tremendous effect, not only on solving problems that God can do for us. And there's no doubt he can perform miracles, folks. Don't for 1 second hesitate on that. Quadruple down on that, because that's the reality and the truth. I'm a truth teller, and there it is. The power of prayer is something. I know it's incredible and valuable, but I don't even know how much. Only God knows that. But I will never underestimate the power of prayer. But the reason I bring it up is because they pray for people. It's prayer and share, right? It's wonderful. It's good. But my whole point is that they have all kinds of details about how it's different. And there's different rules governing these groups and this, to where most people don't even know what a health share plan is. And if they do, they're like, oh, yeah, I've heard those kind of crazy Christians on the radio or whatever. But a lot of times the health share plans have to have something in common to allow them to be part of it. So you got to commit to Christian values, or you got to commit to this code of ethics and health code. And I think it's smart. I don't think it's wrong. I mean, for example, hey, you're not going to perform abortions and use some of these Christian health share programs. They're not willing to pay for abortions and murder, and I commend them. But my whole point is that they've divided these two things in society so much so to where people don't even know about the wonderful opportunity of a health share plan, of the wonderful opportunity of people that will not only help you share your medical costs when a medical catastrophe comes your way, or, but they will pray for you too. Well, in that, there's tremendous value. But by law and by regulation and by government control and government manipulation and government dividing, they've created this whole different segment for health solutions. We've got to break down those divides and get government out of it so that there's not a fundamental regulatory difference, right? If I want to be part of a health share, why can't there be a deductible? Why can't there be okay? And so we've done this in the radio world. We've done this in the medical world. We've done this and I'm sure there's a lot of other worlds that I don't even know about. I don't know about all of them. I've just seen this over the years. And when I'm a consultant for companies in IT and HR and a variety of different spaces, I strategically guide companies and direct companies what to embrace and why and how. And so I've done a lot of research on these things, is why I know about it. And there's tremendous ways people are coming to the table with solutions and creative, but all these creative solutions are basically because government created the problem in the first place. It's sad, but there are solutions. You ask me, what are they? Well, I'm going to just tell you the solutions when we get back really quick. Then I'm going to dive into a story from a Christian organization that's doing a phenomenal job. I'm going to tell you what they're doing and tell you the real solution related there too. Shall we? I'm Sam Bushman. This is the one and only Liberty Roundtable Live.
Protecting your liberties. You're listening to Liberty News Radio.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Prosecutors say the Egyptian national, the illegal alien accused of trying to burn people to death in Boulder, Colorado, says he wanted them all to die, had no regrets, and if he could, he'd do it again. The victims had gathered peacefully in support of Israeli hostages in Gaza when they were attacked by a man with a flamethrower who was also hurling Molotov cocktails. President Trump said to be outraged by the attack.
And it is unacceptable to this president and this White House.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. The suspect, 45-year-old Mohammed Sabri Solomon, faces a raft of state charges as well as a federal hate crime charge. He's already made one court appearance.
Solomon appeared in Colorado Judicial Court on Monday.
This is the matter concerning Mohammed Suleiman.
The court issued a protective order, meaning Solomon cannot contact any of the victims, but he is still behind bars.
The court previously set bond on the written affidavit. It is set at $10 million cash only.
Authorities say in court papers that the 45-year-old had planned the attack for more than a year, targeting what he described as, quote, a Zionist group, end quote. I'm Donna Warder.
America is hiring. Job openings hit 7.4 million in April. Surprisingly strong report shows the American economy remains resilient despite so many gloom and doom predictions. Key to the Trump agenda, the president's so-called Big Beautiful Bill is before the Senate now after recently clearing the House. There are some Republicans less than thrilled with the measure. Kentucky's Rand Paul is among them. While he supports parts of the bill, he says it adds too much to the already enormous federal deficit. On Wall Street this hour, stocks are higher. The Dow trading about 52 points higher. The Nasdaq is up 134. The S&P better by 19. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher, host of the Mike Gallagher Show here, and when it comes to mortgages, I only trust the team that's helped me and my family more than once, Mike and Brian at Fellowship Home Loans. These guys are friends, believers. They built a company on biblical values that actually puts you first. In today's economy, with everything costing more, you need a lender who can help you make smart, strategic moves when it comes to real estate. Need cash for home improvements? Thinking about a HELOC or a refi to consolidate debt? Well, Fellowship Home Loans can help you do it faster and for less. Why? Because they're a direct lender, not a broker. No middleman. No unnecessary fees. That means fewer hoops, less waiting, and real answers from real people who care. Whether you're buying, selling, refinancing, or just exploring your options, Fellowship Home Loans will tailor everything to your unique needs. Get started at fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. or call 800-510-MIKE. 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans. Mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers. DBA Fellowship Home Loans. Equal housing lender. NMLS number 819382.
As a parent, is receiving a faith-based, character-focused education for your children difficult to find? Do you believe that godly principles should be a central component in your child's education? Imagine a school where faith and integrity are at its center, where heritage and responsibility instill character. For over 40 years, American Heritage School has been educating both hearts and minds, bringing out academic excellence. This is the school where character and embracing the providence of a living God are fundamental, where students' national test scores average near the 90th percentile. With American Heritage School's Advanced Distance Education Program, distance is no longer an issue. With an accredited LDS-oriented curriculum from kindergarten through 12th grade, your children can attend from anywhere in the world. American Heritage School will prepare your child for more than a job. It will prepare them for life. To learn more, visit american-heritage.org. That's american-heritage.org.
Step into the boots of the American West with Range Magazine, where grit meets grace. This is a front row seat to the stories, struggles, and triumphs of ranchers, farmers, and stewards of the land. From jaw-dropping photography to no-nonsense reporting, Range brings you the untold tales of life on the range. Whether you're a city dweller with a cowboy's heart or living life where the pavement ends, Range speaks to the soul of the West. Subscribe today at rangemagazine.com.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At cspoa.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever.
Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty Roundtable Radio Talk Show.
Back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. Sam Bushman on your radio, hard-hitting talk at your fingertips. So I'm talking about how government has driven a wedge for Christians big time, and they've tried to kick them kind of out of the public square. And the way they do this is shocking indeed, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to talk about this in great detail because it's really, really, really important. So the Christians have been driven out of the public square. They've done so in the government schools is where it's really started, where it's really kind of at home. And Texas is now putting the 10 Commandments back in government school. That story is by Alex Newman, my dear friend. He does a phenomenal job, I might add. And Alex Newman does the Liberty Sentinel. The definition of a sentinel, ladies and gentlemen, from Webster's 1828 dictionary. Sentinel, noun from Latin, right? A soldier sent to watch or guard, protect an army. Yeah. You don't want surprise. You want to observe the approach of danger, etc. So Alex Newman does the Liberty Sentinel. It's incredible. Talk radio, incredible TV broadcasts, and more. The guy's just an incredible journalist. One of the best in the business. I've watched him for literally, he's been in it as long as I have, that's for sure. 30 years or so. I don't know the exact when he started, but I'm telling you, he's incredible. He does a phenomenal job, right? But all I can tell you is this. The Christians over at the American Family Association are doing a tremendous job highlighting this. Now, Alex kind of bridges the gap between the Christian world and the secular world. I try to bridge that gap to the best of my ability also. But the headline says this from the American Family Association. It's Tim Wildmon and those guys. I mean, he's the president of the American Family Association, AFA.net. But here's the headline that I find fascinating. And how many people are highlighting this in the secular world to make the point? They're not, really. And they ought to be. That's the point, right? And somehow the Christians are learning about it if they pay attention to Christian radio and TV and websites. But most of society doesn't really, realize this. In other words, the topic's not forced into the public square, the public arena for discussion, for breakdown, for analysis, for look back of the consequences, right? Headline says the pro-homosexual, pro-transgender mafia is what they're calling it. Think about that. The pro-homosexual, pro-transgender mafia, right? Won't stop coming for American children. They won't stop coming after America's kids and grandkids. Think about that. The pro-homosexual, pro-transgender mafia won't stop coming after our kids and grandkids. It's a great headline. Just imagine if that was forced into the public square for discussion. And we can look back and say what damage has been done. So what am I talking about? Listen carefully. 10 years ago this month. Now, this is supposed to be, what, Pride Month? Gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, whatever month, right? It's been celebrated for years. I mean, the rainbow flags are going up everywhere. It's crazy. Donald Trump now pushing back on that. Good for the President of the United States of America, right? 10 years ago this month, folks, and I don't even know some of these words here, Obergefell Supreme Court decision unleashed a satanic breakout in the sexual war against America and Christianity. So there's this decision that I'm not really that familiar with. Okay, I don't know about that whatever decision, but it happened 10 years ago. I appreciate the AFA and the Christians letting me know about that because I believe there has been a satanic breakout. They say 5 judicial tyrants in Washington, D.C., forced homosexual marriage on every square inch of America. And the effect has been a national nightmare, and we can't seem to wake up from it. See how spot on this really is? I mean, it's incredible. Anyway, they say the Obergefell decision led to the Bostock decision, which elevated the mental disorder of transgenderism to the status of a, quote, civil right. See? If you discriminate against a man who thinks he's a woman, radical lawyers and prosecutors will come after you. Lawfare to the extreme. But the ultimate target of this whole abuse, ladies and gentlemen, has been children. The cultural explosion has led to the spread of drag queen story hour. Men and girls sports, men and women's bathrooms, the pharmaceutical and cervical sexual mutilation of children. I mean, it's really sex crimes pitched as normal. The nightmare, ladies and gentlemen, is still happening. Now, yes, President Trump and his administration are pushing back. Praise God for that. It's wonderful. I commend them. But candidly, it will not be enough without grassroots action. And that's really the important thing here. But it's hard to deal with if you can't talk about it. If you've got this breach between the Christian world and the non-com world and the other worlds. Tim Wildmon says, as I write this, schools near San Diego are zealously enforcing a California state law that mandates tampons in boys' bathrooms in every elementary school. Now, I don't know if you know, but elementary children, even the women or females, girls, I mean, very few of them menstruate at that point, right? I mean, isn't it till middle school that kind of starts? I'm not trying to be awkward here. They say the tampon in grade school boys' bathrooms are required by the, quote, Menstrual Equity Act for all of 2021. I mean, am I really discussing this, people? Is this real? Yes, it is. Parents are crying out in opposition to no avail. These could be your kids or grandkids. This insanity is damaging the minds of children as young as kindergartners, mentally molesting these children. The larger goal is to hijack their bodies for sexual perversion by creating a culture with no sexual boundaries. In Texas, with over 5 million students, a massive school district is calling a girl a boy against the parents' explicit desire. Gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender radicals will not stop. They're spiritually driven. Plus, they have billions of dollars, not to mention incredible influence in the media. They have rogue judges in courts, local, state, federal courts, who have literally declared, we want your children. In 2020, 5 years after this, quote, decision I mentioned, provided a proven tool to help. 5 years after this decision, the American Family Association created an incredible tool to help. A proven tool to help Christians answer the crisis. AFA released the feature-length, award-winning documentary. It's called In His Image. Now, listen to me carefully. Did you know about that documentary? You probably did not, because I didn't know about it. Now, if you did, you're one up on me. And I would really appreciate if you guys know about these stories. Bring them to my attention, please. I will cover them. Remember, I'm a sheepdog. I will absolutely do my best to protect the poor children from these out-of-control Satan-backed thugs. This film exposes the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender lies. And even more importantly, it proclaims hope and healings, or hope and healing for the victims of this abuse. The miraculous impact of it in his image has been astonishing. Viewed over 1 million times already, God has used, quote, in his image, to save lives, to save souls, and to shine light into this abuse. Then they say, please use this link. We need a gift. And your gift will help us turn this from 1 million people watching it to 10 million people watching it. I've got some startling statistics when we come back. Good for the AFA. Good for Trump. And let's help carry the ball, shall we?
Scott Bradley here. Most Americans are painfully aware that the nation is on the wrong track and in dire straits. Unfortunately, most political pundits only nibble around the edges when they claim to address the issues. Even worse, many of the so-called solutions are simply rewarmed servings of what got us into the mess we currently face. And the politicians think we're so gullible and naive that we'll buy their lies that they have reformed and now understand where they led us astray. Unfortunately, the truth of the matter is that they simply wish to continue to hold power. The solution to America's challenges is found in returning to the timeless principles found in the United States Constitution. My book and lecture series will reawaken in Americans an understanding and love of the principles which made this nation the freest, most prosperous, happiest, and most respected nation on earth. Visit topreservethenation.com and order my book and lectures to begin the restoration of this great nation.
This is a battle between truth and deceit, a battle between forces that would enslave this country in darkness, and between a media that wants to present you with the truth. We are being censored. America's news outlets no longer provide the truth. 90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in fact.
TheEpochTimes.com.
Looking for an IT partner that truly understands your needs? Managed IT Services is the answer. We meet with you regularly to discuss your goals and form a tailored technology plan. Our customers have called us a trusted advisor who delivers. When it comes to IT, we do it all. Firewalls, cloud storage, server migration, and more. Say goodbye to long-term contracts and hello to a team that earns your business month after month. Call 801-706-6980 now and let Managed IT Services transform your IT experience.
All right, back with you live. So I really commend the American Family Association for their leadership on this. Pro-homosexual, pro-transgender. Mafia comes after your children and grandchildren. The American Family Association, Tim Wildmon, AFA.net for details. 10 years ago this month, yeah, they literally have promoted, all these things, that same-sex marriage. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. 5 judicial tyrants in Washington forced homosexual marriage on every square inch of America. The nightmare is still happening, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, the Trump administration is pushing back, and God bless them for doing so. But the tampons in schools' bathrooms are whacked out. It's in grade school, folks, when I don't even think, Liz, I know I don't mean to drag you into this, but look, do grade school girls need tampons? I don't think so. I only have 4 daughters and a wife, and I just don't think so. Maybe 6th grade, but all right. She says you typically start your period around 12, so that's usually like 6th, 7th grade stuff, right? So not only why are we, dealing with tampons in grade school, first of all, and if a girl does need them earlier or whatever else, let mom and, help with that or whatever. I even maybe understand if other family members need to help if the family's breaking down. I get it. But why grade school and then in boys' bathrooms? What on earth grade school boy needs a tampon? I mean, I don't mean to be weird about this and get into too much detail, except for I just don't even understand the discussion we're having right now. But In His Image is a documentary put out by the American Family Association that really breaks this down, helps parents understand what the heck is going on. This film exposes this community and their lies. And then, most importantly, it provides solutions and hope and guidance. The miraculous impact of In His Image has been astonishing, to say the least. Now, listen to this. When I was a kid, there was no LGBTQ, whatever thing. I mean, I heard of people that were gay or whatever else when I was a little kid, but I didn't even know what a transgender was. But now the percentage of high school students that identify, that's another weird word that we've kind of manipulated, but have identified as LGBTQ has skyrocketed to 26%. It is shocking to me. 26%. And I believe most of this is the propaganda, the indoctrination, driven by a satanic agenda. Okay? Let's see. We got to help Christians deal with this crisis. The problem is Christians are separated from society for the most part. They've managed to drive a wedge between the Christians and regular society, where the Christians primarily speak to Christians. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm glad they get to speak to Christians. But they've been isolated, or a wedge has been driven. And I gave you examples of radio and TV, the commercial, the non-commercial. I gave you an example of the healthcare industry, all right, where you got health care versus health share, whatever you want to say it. Insurance versus health share plans or whatever. And they drive a wedge. They do the same thing in government school. They kicked prayer out in the 60s of government schools. They have now brought in these transgenders. Well, let me give you another interesting, scary example. I just saw a headline. I don't have it in front of me right now because I saw it and I just went, wow. It's in KSL News in the state of Utah. It's one of the biggest newspapers. And the headline is Logan, Utah, which is a tiny community in the northeast section of Utah. And when I say tiny community, I mean, they've got, 100,000 people up there or something like that. So it's not tiny, but compared to a lot of the communities in the United States and around the world, it's tiny, right? Okay. Well, anyway, it's Pride Month. And so they're promoting pride everywhere, and gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and they're able to just absolutely promote whatever they want to. I mean, rainbow flags everywhere. You can pass out pamphlets promoting the gay and lesbian and pride. You can have events. You can have drag queen hours. You can have perverted, rallies and shows, and nobody bats an eye. Now you stand up and speak up against that, and somehow now you're a hater. You're an enemy. And so some people have decided that they've had enough of it. And so they created a bunch of flyers and a bunch of signs and said, hey, this gay, lesbian stuff has got to stop. Now, here's the problem. I want the gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender agenda to stop because I believe it's propaganda, it's dishonest, it's immoral, especially in the medical world where they mutilate people's genitals and everything else. It's disaster and it's criminal in my opinion. Okay, teaching boys that they're girls or girls that they're boys or creating this intentional gender euphoria or confusion, in my opinion, is criminal. An example to point out in San Diego or whatever, and they have these tampons in boys' bathrooms for third graders is just absolutely proof of my point. It is evil, it is sick, and it's satanically driven. I'm a truth teller, folks. I'm not going to hold back. Now, that doesn't mean, and I know they want you to believe this, but what they're going to tell you is that I'm a hater, that I'm stirring up contention, that I'm dishonest in my delivery, and they're going to tell you all these lies, and they're going to tell you how evil and bad I am. But it's because I threaten their dominance over this issue. And so if somebody is truly promoting hate, and I agree there's a line of your First Amendment speech versus hate and abuse, but there's no such thing as hate speech. That's the first lie. And so if I tell you that this is evil, satanically driven, wrong, dishonest, immoral, it's a mafia, It's abuse. It's criminal. I believe I have a solid leg to stand on, but what they will tell you is that I've crossed the line into hate. That, again, is the big lie. Because remember, they've driven a wedge. And if I dare cross that line, oh boy. All right, well, anyway, so there's people up in Logan, Utah that have these signs and these flyers that are saying how horrible the Gay Pride Month is. And they're standing against gay pride. I believe they have every right to do that, right? I believe they have every right to stand up for what they believe in. Now, I don't believe they have the right, though, to abuse people or to harm people physically. I believe we need to be kind to people who are deceived on this issue. But I also believe that we have to stand up nobly, boldly, and independently against those who are pushing this agenda. Okay? So you've got to be smart about this, and you've got to divide those who are pushing an agenda, who are criminals, versus those who are caught in the crossfire and they're confused. Right? But we need to be kind to all people. But my kindness doesn't mean that I have to capitulate, agree, remain silent. That's where the lies begin. I can clearly tell you I believe this is satanically driven, this is evil, and this has got to stop. But I can also tell you that I should be kind to those around me, and I don't have to be violent or anything like that. But they want you to believe that because I promote these things, that I'm violent or hostile or hate-filled. I have friends that are gay. I completely disagree with them, but I agree they're children of God, and they have every right to think and believe as they choose. I don't have to agree with it, though. I can be kind to them and still hold to my values. That's what they want you to believe can't be done. It can and must be done. Anyway, I commend the American Family Association for their leadership and stance. It's a shame, in my humble opinion, an absolute shame that people don't know about it in his image and their incredible documentary about this. It's amazing to me that the Christian world speaks to Christians about this and raises the alarm, but the mainstream world doesn't really hear much about it because they've created a divide and isolation. They've driven a wedge. That has got to stop, and I'm here to stop it. I'm here to bridge that gap, like Salem Radio Network is doing, like the American Family Association is trying to do, like my buddy Brother Newman, Mr. Newman is doing, Alex Newman, okay, like others are doing. We need to push. I commend the Trump administration for bringing this truth to power and standing up for what's right, but it's going to take all of us. We got to make this go viral. And this June month, where it's either Juneteenth, which is a lie, and or Pride Month or whatever else, which is a lie, we need to stand up and stop it. That doesn't mean we're full of hate and that we're evil. Don't fall for that lie. And we have got to work together to bring truth to power on this thing. God created male and female. There are only two genders. And you cannot change your gender by identifying as one or the other, or deceiving yourself into believing that you're one or the other. I just saw a news article where a young man in government schools, he goes fluid through his gender depending on the day. So he'll go play in male sports, but then he'll turn into a female right after the practice or right after the game, and he'll go into the female's bathroom because he's a female after the game, don't you understand? And good, honest people are trying to stop this, and they're having a hard time stopping it. I mean, it's insanity. And we have let this occur because the Christians calling out truth, telling the reality of God, have been isolated, have been divided from society in such a way that most people don't get both sides of the discussion. And they've been propagandized for so long. They took over every inch of America with this gay and lesbian agenda and the same-sex marriage stuff a decade ago. And look at the horrible consequences of us, we the Christians in America, in a Christian nation, deciding that we can't stand up, being too afraid and too marginalized and too separated to have our will be known. I love all people, but I will not stand for the lies, and I will stand. I will make a valiant stand for truth and honor, and I will do my best to bring God's laws forward and stand for those fundamental, God-ordained, scientifically backed truths that can save we the people. It's time to stand up in the culture where people, you cannot sit on the sidelines. It is not a spectator sport. It's real, and we ask for your involvement. I'm Sam Bushman. God save our republic. And let's help him do it, shall we?